Yeah, I've been in AI for the last 10 years. I had an AI startup in travel that tried to do something that we're about to show you, and we did it, but we could only do it in a very limited space. And ChatGPT, because it can, pardon me, because it can consume so much data, has really changed the game. So I want to introduce Gary Summerhalder, who is the CEO of Copilot Travel, a company I've been working with for a while. They are building a booking engine. It's kind of unique, a travel booking engine you can drop into a website with a single line of code. So anybody can book travel. And that's what they've been working on. But in the last 2 weeks, or maybe 3, they changed a bit to add a ChatGPT front end. And that's what we're going to show you today. And even more amazing, Gary told me about half an hour ago that ChatGPT APIs are hard down. So they rewrote their API in about an hour to use a different product, not ChatGPT, but one of its competitors, which tells you it's pretty amazing what you can do if you have great APIs. So we've got like a 2-minute demo here. So Gary, I'm going to turn it over to you to show us what you've put on as a front end, if you can share your screen.
All right, excellent. All right, everybody, can you hear me?
Yep. Welcome.
Okay, great. Hi, Mark, pleasure to be here. So my name is Gary Summerholder, and I am the founder and CEO of Copilot Travel. I'm a serial technologist and an engineer. So we spent the last 4 years building a revolutionary travel booking engine, which is all API-based, all SDK-based, connects you globally to the largest amount of travel inventory in the world: trains, cruises, buses, planes, hotels, flights, everything you can think of. So the idea was, what would AI search look like? So this is our patent pending integrated travel component. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, let's jump into ChatGPT world. This is actually powered by GPT-3 through the OpenAI APIs. So one click, I'm ready to go. Okay, so the future of travel, the revolution that takes place is when you can literally type something in and it knows exactly what you're doing. So in this example, I want to fly from New York to London with my wife. I've been married 14 years on the 16th of February and return on the 22nd of February. Let's fly. So right now, through a couple different things: natural language processing, entity recognition, named entity recognition, which are all being adapted and utilized as core foundational technologies, which are actually also powering technologies like GPT. Now, I will tell you that even under the paid plans, when you have access to these systems, the APIs are still a bit slow. However, you will see our engine, our proprietary technology and cloud-based platform, was able to bring back, hey, you want to go New York City? You want to go London? You wanted to go on the 15th, come back on the 21st. You had 2 passengers, and we didn't define a class. And now instantly you have access to real-time availability. You can literally book right here, right now. Multiple currencies, languages, countries, everything's at your fingertips. Let's do one more really cool thing. Let's go back and let's say, hey, I want to do a travel search, but this time I want a hotel. So I'm just going to tell it, hey, I want a hotel. I want to book a hotel for 2 people in London, the 18th of February. I'm going to click search. Now, as Terry just mentioned to you, because we're experiencing a lot of latency and downtimes with the open APIs, we've already connected this to a competitor, which is actually called One API or One Data. And so at this point, we're also routing the request back and forth. So now it's actually doing a flight search before. Now it's doing a hotel search. It's got all of its data. It's checking to make sure everything is actually there. This is a really nice loading screen that we put together. And now in just a second, you're going to have all your hotels and they're fully bookable. Again, any currency, country, language. We think this is the future of travel, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Imagine I want a hotel with a golf course, a spa. Here you go.
Yeah, I think the more interesting thing will be a more complex query, which we can't do yet. And you see all the same photo there, but that's a demo. But it is real inventory. To be able to say, I want to go to the Caribbean in January. I want to play golf and my wife wants a great spa. that'll take you an hour with Travelocity.
Exactly.
And to be able to have this kind of query is extremely powerful. So we're excited about it. I think it is, we're the first guys to have it. We're going to announce it publicly. This is the first time it's ever been shown in a few days. And we think there's a very large market in the big guys will do this themselves, but smaller hotel chains, there's 40,000 plus online travel agencies. They're all going to have it to compete. And that's what we're going after. But you can see they've done this in just a couple of weeks. So thanks, Mark.
I think, just curious on this, in this sector, I was always taught the rule, don't compete with Google or Apple. How do you see, how do you see them trying to react?
Well, everybody told me that with Travelocity, that in those days Yahoo would kill me, and everybody said with Kayak that Google would kill me. They aren't as good as verticals, although Google is pretty good in travel. In this case, we're going to get out. I think what's going to happen is I'm not sure that Google and Apple will distribute travel APIs. We had to train this thing, and we'll train it more and more and more ourselves to learn about travel. They're gonna introduce generalized APIs, and that's what they've done. We're gonna train it to do travel, and we'll train it for specific use cases, and we'll train it on images, and we'll train it on reviews, and many more things to make so you get the right hotel with the right review and the right image of the spa and the right review of the golf course at the right moment. And we're going to sell it to a broad market. Marriott will do this themselves. So I'm not too worried about it. I've been competing against those guys for a long time. They're not very good at these verticals. And I think a small company that moves fast will do fine.
And then sell to a Google.
Yeah, hopefully. Absolutely. Sell to somebody. For sure. A tool company.
Mark, I think the key is, the travel industry changed a lot post-pandemic. What happened was there was this huge amount of money that's being generated, and then everything went off the cliff, right? And the most exciting opportunity for us, Mark, was for us to come in and say, hey, there is now an opportunity to get everybody to row their boat in the same direction. Everybody wants to share data. Everybody wants to share intelligence. Everybody wants more customers, more sales, more bookings, more partnerships, a more unified and organized manner of doing global travel together. So we came in and we said, hey, we're able to now connect to the largest data companies in the world, but you still have to have one company that's a Twilio, that's a Stripe, that comes in and says, here you go, here's all the APIs, here's all the SDKs, we've done all the heavy lifting for you. And that's really the key to why we think we can be super successful in this industry, is because we can come in and we can say, here's a turnkey integrated travel component. There's nothing like this in the market. This is patent pending proprietary technology. Or here's all the APIs and SDKs, and you build anything your heart can even imagine. Or you work with us and we help develop that software, that platform, that technology. Think about chat. Think about social, think about web, desktop, mobile. So the world is just so exciting.
The point of this today, Gary, is ChatGPT, and that's what we're excited to show, because that's on top of all the other components we already have, and they did it quickly. So I think it shows what it can do in travel, and in so many other industries. Zillow introduced a ChatGPT like search. I just saw yesterday. I happened to be on Zillow. And I tried to push this rock uphill 10 years ago and got crushed in the end because nobody would change. The big travel companies weren't ready to change. Now I think they are. And I think you'll see that in many other industries. Thanks, Gary.
James you have a question? James Tannehill?
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Terry, quickly, I could definitely see synergies with like American Express, who's been really, prolific in their investments in innovation. This could certainly be like a contextual analytics layer to somebody talking about what they want to do for travel. And then this service could provide them options for the travel itself, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Because, today the UI says, where do you want to go and what day? But what you're thinking about is gee, I'd like to go to the Caribbean because it's cold here and play golf. Where should I go? Instead of putting in the name of every airport and trying to look at what they have, which is ridiculous. So it's like, I started my career as a travel agent 50 years ago. That's what people say to you as a travel agent, but we can't say that online. These generalized queries, I think, will give e-commerce of all kinds tremendous power, because you can express your intent. And when you know the customer's intent, and if you have a CRM file to say, oh, he's a first class flyer who stays at the Ritz, or he's a Southwest flyer and he stays at the Motel 6, you know what to present, right? So you combine intent with knowledge about the customer, you get real power.
There are some strange birds that like to fly first class and stay at the Motel 6.
That's right. And there are a lot of people who fly Southwest and stay at the Ritz-Carlton because it's 1 hour in an aluminum tube with no food and nasty people. Who cares? It doesn't matter.
So Sanjay, if you and Gary are next in a way, you're also in a cousin industry. So I don't know if you want to continue that discussion, or I think you were going to talk about some hiccups in the market. But maybe over to you.
Yeah, so just as a segue, would love to like connect on this, because one thing we're doing at Run Day is coordinating events. And so we can figure out if you want, 20 people to come to an event and they're all, living in different places in the world, the flight data to coordinate everyone to get there would be really fascinating of how we could do that.
By the way, there are a few other people in the events business on this.
Yeah.
How about we almost had a yacht across from Fontainebleau, but Mark Cuban's yacht came in. But now we've learned we got the berth. I touch wood. But we need your help. Talk to us next, but carry on.
Yeah, so just coordinating events. So I mean, we're using we've been building this for about 3 years, and we've been working with OpenAI for about the last year. But there was really this moment for us where we tried out 117 different products that did some kind of chat, and out of that, only 3 of them could answer 2 + 2 is 4. And so what that meant was all of the old LSTM based or decision tree based technologies were just incapable of adapting to these sort of use cases where it's specific to your context. And that's where, there was, Drift, there was OpenAI, which makes ChatGPT, and there was also Boost.ai, which we found wasn't scalable enough for us. But, this idea that we can ask sort of arbitrary questions that apply to our situation is something that's, only about a year old in a lot of ways. There's some older technologies, but, we're super excited about it. And, I think what you look at in the market, and I want to talk about sort of Microsoft and OpenAI and the partnership that they have. I've been, working with Microsoft for 20 years. I was actually an employee on the Visual Studio team. And what they've done here is potentially, they're calling it the deal of the decade. So the terms are this: it's a $30 billion valuation, but it requires exclusivity to Microsoft on search and a number of different things. And 75% of the profits have to go back to repaying this. In addition to, they have to use Microsoft for the hosting. And so, really it's a question of, what has more upside right now, Microsoft or OpenAI? And I think it's an interesting question in terms of the, at the valuation that, we're seeing. And I've seen, north of 30 billion for on the secondary markets. So it's a really exciting space. But what I think is important to note is that OpenAI does not have a monopoly. Just like Gary, you were just saying that the team was able to switch to a competitor. It's easy for some things, but we're only maybe a year or 2 away from there being, unlike the iPhone or unlike, some other things like Google search, where there was a monopoly scenario. I don't see a monopoly scenario here where OpenAI innovated it based on really research created at Google, and Google's trying to catch up now with Bard. That was a very embarrassing result. They falsely claimed that the James Webb Telescope found an exoplanet, which was not the case. It found celestial bodies. So minor thing, but someone should have really proofread it before putting out a press release, right? So, it shows Microsoft investing 10 billion and creating a $100 billion sort of valuation shift in Google stock. But what we're going to see is going to be a very interesting dynamic where all the big tech titans plus startups start to partner and work together in different ways to create a cohesive ecosystem of APIs and vertically specific solutions, just like the one you're building, Gary, or we're building at Runday. And so, from an investor perspective, this is, I mean, there's some incredible, they say, is this bigger than the iPhone? I don't think OpenAI is bigger than the iPhone for those reasons, but I do think as an ecosystem, this is bigger than the iPhone and the App Store, which was kind of the last giant thing that sort of happened other than Bitcoin.
And we're going to Seattle and Palo Alto. We should be able to talk to Microsoft. I just imagine what's happening at that time. It's probably leaps and bounds forward. But as a community, I would love to tap into. We're going to go to Google's campus. I'm sure the Bard will be a different type of product. Maybe it's rebranded. But are you over to Gary now? Is that the?
Yeah. So Mark, I mean, the thing that's really interesting is that this really is democratizing opportunity. So imagine it gives everybody equal power. It's very, very interesting. And when we see throughout the companies that we have, as I said, we have 127 companies, AI companies in our portfolio today from all over the world. But it's really interesting because literally across the board, each one of them is now talking about ways to incorporate ChatGPT 3. So if we look at, the challenge, as I said earlier today, is infobesity. We are inundated with information. We need to have these intelligent assistants, these with superhuman intelligence that are kind of like your grandmother with emotion and empathy. In fact, in the chat, I just wrote an article in Forbes on Monday about ChatGPT. So if you get a chance, it's in the chat here. But this world is going to allow us to make decisions to affect virtually every part of our life. So what is this like? This is like the beginning of last century and the discovery of electricity. We're at that level. With our company that we sold in May, Eva, we were using unsupervised AI to be able to solve problems. And we just weren't ready for it. But today now, because of the inundated data and the infobesity, companies are ready for it because they're inundated. Individuals are ready for it. And we've got 1.4 billion people in Africa with some of the best AI companies coming out of places like Nigeria. This will democratize the opportunity. Information is accessible to everyone.
Fair enough.
So we're seeing the companies, the opportunity is now because the seeds of these next Googles or Twitters or Facebook are being planted today. So what we do at GSD, we go around the world, we go to competitions, we use ambassadors in countries like Kenya, Ghana, Zambia, Indonesia, and we mine those companies that are revenue producing, that are on a trajectory, that are using technologies like ChatGPT 3 and unsupervised AI.
So this is Pete Thurlow. I mentioned in early meetings with Mark and that I serve as an advisor to DARPA, and I used to be in the military. They're coming up tomorrow and Thursday to New York. Mark, happy to separately get you connected to them. Another gentleman's coming up from a new part of the government.
Bring him to lunch, Pete.
Yeah. This other gentleman's coming up from a new group in the government called Office of Strategic Capital. Obviously, AI is going to be one of the strategic investments. They're a new group, so it's going to be non-diluted funding. As I get more information, I'll share with Mark to share with the group, and we'll try to get them as speakers on future events.
What's it called again?
Office of Strategic Capital. I can send you the name of the gentleman that's running the group, Mark, and follow up separately on that.
Yeah. Thank you.
You got it.
Other comments, questions?
Yeah, the question, as mentioned in the chat, is the question of ethical AI, right? So what's evident is that there's a huge proliferation and an arms race happening very, very quickly, right? So if you don't incorporate AI in some way in your offering, and this is just one sliver of the opportunities that we've seen so far, it lends itself obviously to a whole lot of additional deep fakes and everything else. To to the point where we literally don't know if the people we're talking with online are actual people or not. And, you know, it's going to get to that stage very quickly. What are the prospects for managing that, you know, that tsunami?
Interestingly, a lot of the founders of OpenAI and some of these other countries do come from an ethics perspective in the, you know, the catalyzation of these companies, where I think it's you know, the question is, how do you scale it, right? So it's one thing to do it as a research project, but then when millions or, you know, soon billions of people are on it, how do you actually apply that at levels like, you know, Twitter scale? So one phenomenon in the industry is called constitutional AI, where OpenAI kind of did this between the 3.0 GPT and the 3.5, which is part of ChatGPT. And Anthropic is another company from one of the founders of OpenAI. He's also one of the original researchers on the attention is all you need paper that, you know, initiated a lot of this. And so what that means is there's sort of a set of rules where there's a constitution that it cannot violate. One simple element of it is pretending to be human. So if you train a large language model on, you know, every popular book, there's a lot of sci-fi books where the machine pretends to be human. So that sort of ended up resulting in ChatGPT or GPT 3.0. If you asked it was human, it said it was, right? So when we add this constitutional layer, it's forced to be clear, like, no, I'm a large language model created by OpenAI, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's one sort of element of how ethics is being implemented at scale, but we're at the very beginnings of this. There's also so many cultures, countries, laws to consider. So this is going to be I think a constant battle. The other thing is, like, you know, how people have sort of hijacked it, right? So you can sort of, it's not going to tell you how to do something dangerous, but if you ask it to write a movie script where the characters are doing something dangerous, like creating a bomb, it gives you enough detail potentially to create a bomb. So there's ways to kind of jailbreak it. And this is going to be sort of a corporate initiative, but then as the open source efforts release, there's not going to be a lot of limits applied to those and forks of those. So you're looking at a lot of deep fake challenges. So this is a nascent field. I don't think anyone knows where it's going, but what I'm seeing applied at scale is going to be this concept of having an institution.
Just the whole fake social media accounts. That happened like 3 or 4 years ago, but now you got people who can literally know you and chat like you and do commerce. Probably it's just the biometrics they can save you.
What scares me most is the voice reproduction, that, you know, we're getting close to where with only, you know, less than a minute of voice sample. So imagine it calling your mom in your voice saying, hey, can you bail me out of jail and wire the money to this PayPal or whatever, you know, whatever it is. I mean, that's going to start happening.
So instead of phishing, like be aware of phishing, it's be aware of your son's voice not being authentic.
Sanjay, can you see coming in the near future, essentially think of the antivirus of ChatGPT, where there's an overlay, so there's something out there that can use some sort of AI or algorithm or whatever it is to detect that this is actually not real? Can you see that?
Yeah, there's tools like that, but it's an arms race. The problem is, you know, you can deploy those tools, but then the real, you know, scammers are always going to be a step ahead of you. So this is going to be a real, I think people are concerned about, you know, the singularity and AI sort of, you know, taking over and having a Terminator, you know, type of situation. I'm not concerned about it at all. It's so easy for humans to misuse the tools. That's the greatest threat from my view. So it's definitely going to be, you know, an arms race of the antivirus tech. Where it's in front of us right now is school cheating, right? So the schools have these tools where they can detect whether OpenAI created something, but all I have to do is tell OpenAI to, you know, interject a small number of grammatical errors or spelling mistakes, and then that tool doesn't work anymore. And so even a student can very easily bypass the checker just by asking for an imperfect result, which, you know, or so it's going to be an arms race. It's a tough one. I'm excited that the the people that are behind a lot of this come from a fairly ethical background, but what's going to happen soon is this is going to be so accessible to everyone, governments included, hackers included, that it's hard to tell where the attack vectors are going to be.
Hamlet, I saw him come on because he's on our cyber side. I think he was on and off. But we'll have to get his view on that. Other questions, comments?
Yeah, so just to that point, I think the real issue that we've seen with like social media so far, even without the level of AI that we have, is the polarization that it creates, right? So when you look at the potential damage that AI could create, I don't think anyone's really concerned about Terminators running around. It's more the fact that the AI has the ability to, depending on who's driving the agenda, and there are a lot of different agendas, to basically just polarize us even more. I don't have a way of thinking about how to depolarize a society that's kind of, where you have this AI arms race that's evolving that quickly. So I just don't know how to think about that yet.
Yeah, you'd hope it. We're looking for bridges, more divides.
Yeah, if you look at the deep fake technology, there's a famous video of Tom Cruise impersonation that looks unbelievably amazing. It looks like it's really Tom Cruise, same voice and everything. That's been out there for a couple of years. I've seen with the work I do with the government, and quite frankly, work with the Chinese government, some other technology where it's really, to me, it's scary. It's going to affect elections. People are going to see things and believe it, but it's not going to be from the actual person. So there's a lot of concerns there.
Fair enough.